So something I've been learning in my life recently is about letting go, specifically onto small interactions that you think mean a lot to you in the moment. But when it's done and over with, it's really small, but those small interactions lead to something big. Big being like a crash out or something, hurting somebody who's not meant to be hurt, all because you ignored small things. For example, me and my sister have been going at it, a bunch of arguments. Me and my life, my sister, it's always me and my sister on the same side, like ever since we were young. I was the one defending her. I'm the eldest brother of two, a brother and a sister, but and the sister is the youngest. And like I just graduated college and stuff, and she's barely getting into high school. She's a sophomore, and she has a very sharp mouth. Just says the most hurtful things, and she would tell hurtful things to me, but as the eldest brother, I can't just like lash out at her because it'll create a memory for her, and that's not what I want. I want to be a good example. And I was speaking to someone about it, like in my family. How do you let her speak to you like that and still love her the same? And they tell me, dude, you just gotta let go. And and the more I thought about it, the more I learned I know nothing about letting go. And you know, I didn't know. So later that day, I was putting air in my tire, and I was just thinking about it and asking God, like, what do I do? I don't want to hold this onto this hate no more. I'm ready to move on. And I heard in my brain, to move on is to understand. And instantly it hit me. All the memories when I was young, being an asshole when I was meant to be kind to others, just because I had pain inside that I was lashing out to others. And that instantly showed me a picture of my sister, of what she's at. So like I gotta think about it, like she's in school, trying to find out who she is with the sea of kids. All evil, good, neutral, and a lot of noise. And she's doing exactly what I was doing. So, it's just about letting go now. Finding joy in the small things in life. The small interactions that mean the world to you, that's what defines life. Like Bob Marley said, when the interviewer asked him, how much money do you have? And then Bob Marley was confused and he said, you mean possessions? How much money do I have? And then the interviewer was adamant saying, yes, yes. But Bob Marley's response was, it's not about money. My currency is life. And I've been thinking about that recently. Because if you think about it, it's all the small things that build a tower. So if you equate that to a life, like even a tower has a foundation, just like a human does. If one beam of foundation is faulty, it could make the whole tower fall. So I guess what I'm saying with this is that, like, when you're out with your family, your girlfriend, your siblings, friends, whatever, like, if you do one little thing to make it that more memorable to you, that means the world. Because I don't know if you heard about when you die, your brain replays your life. Imagine how depressing it would be if what your brain replayed back wasn't good memories or something not worth remembering. Like, for example, when we grow up, right, and we are a parent one day or whatever, say when we grow up one day, we want to be a strong parent for our kids and a great example, not just to our family, but to like others, because life is hard right now, but we just got to use it as fuel to go forward. I was speaking to my friend. We're at a Wingstop, and I was asking him, how do I let go of things? Because what I was told is that I was stiff in interactions, and looking back, I am stiff. But then I was trying to ask him, like, hey man, like, how do I loosen up? And he told me how he approaches situations, like social interactions. And it just turned out to being natural. And just be yourself. You're not gonna, you have to realize that not everybody is gonna be equal with you or be on your level, understand what you know, or even just vibe in general. And that's the first step, is accepting that. And then just be who you are, undeniably. If you are yourself, and say you're taken out of yourself, right? You're having an out of body experience, looking at yourself interacting from like the Sims level point of view, right? So like third person looking at yourself in an interaction. Would you think that you're being somebody else, or be yourself? And like taking off the mask, because when you're wearing somebody else's identity, you're a nobody. So just being undeniably yourself. When I was young, I had unfiltered access to the internet, which was definitely not a great choice. But nonetheless, it did lead me to watching some pretty cool stuff, and for me being inspired. So I used to watch Sonic AMVs with like 1,000 Foot Crutch, Skillet, Korn, whatever, all sorts of AMVs all day. And that's what got me into rock. And then rock music specifically is what I love about it, because music is a big part of my life. But what I love about rock is that they embrace the mistakes. They face the truth, that is the pain that they feel. And yeah, there's stereotypes about it, but I feel like those stereotypes are for a reason, are placed there for a reason, to stop people from looking inward. You know, because you got to face your demons to move forward. If you have these things, these leeches on your back this entire time, you're carrying this baggage, right? How are you supposed to climb a hill or something? How are you supposed to move on? So that's one thing I really resonated about rock music, is that none of us lives a perfect life. This is not equating to all rock, but none of us lives a perfect life. We use our pain as fuel. And so, yeah, man, that's the point that I'm at, where I'm just going back to who I used to be. You know, this guy who I thought I wanted to be when I was younger, it wasn't even me. Like, I imagined myself doing all sorts of things. But when you ask yourself, would I do this? The answer is no, for a lot of them. And you know, this life is vanity. You just gotta trust God with where you go, regardless of what you believe in. Life moves on. Life carries on. So like, if you're hurting from a relationship or a loved one passing, whatever the circumstance, it's about using whatever you have as fuel to go forward. Right? So I got some of the best advice ever from a drunk man. A lot of people believe you just gotta talk to quote unquote valuable men in general, but I believe that it could come from anybody. Life lessons could be learned from homeless people or any sort of position in life. But anyways, it was my uncle, and he told me a story about how he was walking in his neighborhood and he got jumped by 5 or 6 kids, and he was just on the floor hurting after. And he told me, what you gotta do is use that as fuel to go forward. You can't just sit there in pity. Because imagine, if you just sit there, dude, your life can equate to nothing. Do what you love to do. You know, talk to the people you want to talk to. Be friendly to people and let go of all the baggage. So that's something I've been learning in my life recently. Just love one another.